Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Kryptonite. I'm Colton, and today I'm with Leo. How are you doing today, Leo?
Hello, Colton. Very nice to hear from you again, and welcome to everybody to Kryptonite channel. So today, I think we are talking about the internet computer. It's
Yes.
actually, I believe, a quite good project, low fees, quite fast, and has got interesting canisters, innovative smart contracts, and I guess also a quite interesting return of investment. What can you please start telling us about internet computer? What is it?
Yeah, no problem, Leo. You kind of hit it
Thank you.
spot. You hit it.
Thank you very much.
You hit it spot on, pretty much. So, if you're not familiar with ICP, it is, a blockchain that is ownerless at the end of the day, and it's a subnetwork of blockchains. So, it wants to expand the functionality of the public internet through a serverless cloud model. So again, there is no ownership. It is a serverless cloud as well. And the result of this is a more open, secure, and censorship restraint internet. So you're able to host any application on a single platform, essentially, with that. It really wants to aim and provide a decentralized infrastructure for the internet, and it wants to lower the cost and increase speeds for users around the world. That's really what ICP is here to do. ICP tokens, that's the native cryptocurrency. You get reward network participants and pay transaction fees as well with ICP. So just so you understand how their token allocation works, 52.9% went to the foundation grants team and partners, 24% went to the seed round investors, 9.5% went to some early contributors, 6.9% went to strategic investors, 4.8 went to pre-sale funding donors, and the remaining percentage went to communities airdrops.
Okay, thank you very much, Colton. What about the history and performance of this project?
Yeah, so actually IPC was developed or started in 2019. It was in conjunction with the release of Copper. And this, at the beginning, it released and introduced, I shouldn't say released, but it introduced an SDK, which is a software development kit, and Modico, which is a programming language for writing small contracts. If you're not familiar with an SDK, it's basically an integration tool to help you integrate other softwares, other applications, without having to pay development fees. If you have a developer on your team, you can easily handle that. The person that actually founded ICP was called Dominic Williams. He is the man behind the internet computer. This happened in 2016 when he really wanted to start making different waves with internet computer. He saw all the way back then, that the internet needed to change. So that's what he started to work on. He actually is known for other things in the crypto world. He started working on different projects in startups in 2010 and has been in the crypto world since then. So people are very familiar with him. He actually founded DFINITY, and this received a ton of attention from the crypto community, because of its ambitious goals. And it's kind of the same thing with ICP, who wants to compete with Google, who wants to compete with Bing, this is what he's up with. And he's, willing to take that on and take that head on. That's not an easy feat. Google has been, the dominant player in the market, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, he's really taken, he hasn't really, he isn't really afraid. And like I said, his ambitious goals are really what people know him for. Again, what they're going for at the end of the day is a platform for developers to build decentralized, scalable, and secure apps. One of the big things that Dominique saw is that, most of the blockchains that were out there at the time, and currently still to this day, are too slow, too expensive, to achieve a true DeFi and Web 3.0 objectives. Again, he developed ICP to be very fast, and I shouldn't say cheap, but more reasonable, for blockchain. That's one of the downsides to blockchain. He wanted to make it, feasible for everyone to be able to work on a blockchain. No submission to the whims of Google, Amazon, Meta platforms, or any other company. again, with ICP, computers can connect to each other and share information without the need of a central server. So again, it's supposed to be decentralized. There's not supposed to be an actual server, but you get to work together just like, you were on a cloud. Again, he has a decentralized network of nodes. So basically what that means is it's an independent computers that store data and relay information to each other. And then again, this is powered by, secure, resilient, and transparent blockchain technology. And then it does not rely on a single entity. So again, it's not just relying on one thing, one server to provide identity or authentication. It's basically pulling little pieces of information, from those different network of nodes. And, for example, let's say if you had a paper document, half of it was, or not half, but a fourth was stored in a server, in the US, a fourth was served in a server in the Middle East, fourth was served in this server in, Canada. That's basically what he's doing here, but he's doing it without the server. That's what's really cool about it. There's no server cost. If you're not familiar, but server costs can get very expensive, with AWS, Azure, any other providers out there, it does get very, very expensive. So this eliminates a big cost for people who want to build apps and build stuff on the internet. It is a huge improvement at the end of the day. So just so you guys know, ICP uses a novel consensus protocol. So several machines must agree is essentially what that means, on which inputs to process and what order to do so. So it needs to do that to create a, coherent state. Essentially, like I said, several machines around the world run each piece of software, and the majority of them collectively define the software's actual state. But again, there's no server involved for this, so there's no fees. So whatever's going on, you don't have to worry about that. If the bulk of the copies successfully run the software, no matter if some individual replicas report a modified state, have connectivity problems, or are, have any type of malware on there. So they have a thing called the NNS, and that is the network nervous system. So it's basically a decentralized system of algorithms. And what that does is it governs the internet computer network. So that's the governing of what's going on. It kind of regulates everything. But again, he doesn't want anything to, it wants it to be fully decentralized, but you got to have some rules in place. There are some things that need to be, not controlled, but, have a system and have something there for it. Another cool thing is chain key cryptography. And if you're not familiar with this is basically the power source of how ICP works. So basically the technology facilitates internet computers operation. This is a huge breakthrough in computer science, not just for blockchain, but just computer science in general. What I mean by that is it gives users, it gives the person creating these, apps, working on Web3, a new level of security and functionality. So basically what I mean by that is every computer on the network are able to independently verify the authenticity of each piece of data. So there's no malicious data can be injected into the system. So what that means is there's no malware, there's none of that coming in there for a potential, hack or anything like that, which is pretty awesome to see. I mean, as you guys saw last year with the US, they got a malware attack that turned into a ransomware attack. So, this is pretty cool to see. This will allow people to stop paying those type of attacks. Of course, just like anyone else, the hackers will figure out and adapt, of course. But with this, they won't really be able to, because like I said, they'll only get a small portion of something if they hack it, because it's on multiple different computers, and it's really difficult for them to hack multiple different computers, and it just won't happen at the end of the day. Again, ICP really wanted to improve the speed of blockchain. So, the finality time is 2 seconds and the core response time is 100 milliseconds. It's canister smart contracts, so offer real Web 3.0 functionality, serving the web and interacting directly with users at the end of the day. So scalability. So people always want to scale on the blockchain. It's unlimited. And again, that's the whole point of ICP, and it's highly adaptable blockchain. So it allows anyone in the community to vote on different ideas, proposals through the network, through the NNS that we talked about on the previous slide, to manage the change, make some changes to the change, whatever it may be. But again, what's different here is you get to vote. So, that's, everyone has a say. Everyone at the end of the day can make a decision on how they want the blockchain to change, how they want it to adapt, etc. So a little bit more about DFINITY, the other company that the owner found. So it is to make ICP more accessible to people around the world. Not, right now, Web3 and everything, not many people use, not many people know. My dad, who probably has no clue what Web3 is, there's a generation out there that probably has no clue that there's a possibility that a new internet may come around. But that's really what the point is to create a new internet free from censorship and government control. So, there's a whole generation out there, like I said, that probably has no clue what this is or has even heard of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean, anything. Boris always relays, back when the internet first started. I'll be honest, I was not around for that, so I'm not too sure how that went. But I can only imagine, at that time, I'm sure there was a lot of people who were naysayers who did not want to be, jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak, for something like this. And it's kind of the same thing with Web3. People are scared, but look where the internet is nowadays. Everyone has internet on their phones everywhere they go. You're going somewhere that has Wi-Fi. If you're not, you're probably not going there. So again, that's, really what they're trying to do is allow people to, have access to Web3. So what the future holds for them. So it is dependent on possibilities rather than certainties. There's potential for great rewards. There's also potential for significant losses as well. Just so you guys are aware, we're going to do a little synopsis here of ICP versus similar blockchain platforms. So the transaction cost on Ethereum, which essentially is gas cost, is usually very low. It can fluctuate depending on the network congestion. So, if you do, we have a video on our channel where you can see what the gas costs are. Sometimes they are low, and that's really only on the weekends. But if you're trying to do a lot of transactions, it can get very, very pricey. So the transaction time on Ethereum, it's about, I would say, about 15 seconds to receive confirmation. It could take much longer during periods of high network traffic. And to be honest with you, I'm here in the US, but it always seems like there's high periods of network traffic. There's not, a downtime unless it's nighttime, like 11, 12, midnight here. But, what are we supposed to do? Are we really supposed to wait that long, during prime time, during the hours, of 9 to 5 here in the US? And again, this is the awesome thing with ICP. The transactions are nearly instantaneous and only cost a fraction of a cent at the end of the day. So as you can see here, this is just to store 1 gigabyte per year on Ethereum and Solana. So as you see here, Ethereum is about $240 million and Solana is about $840,000. And with ICP, it's just simply $5. And this does not fluctuate because, their cycles are technically a stable coin. And again, this is really what's cool. Again, if you work with Azure, if you work with AWS, it's very, very expensive and easy. And as you can see here, it's very expensive to work with Ethereum and Solana, to store just 1 gig. It's just 1 gig. 1 gig is not a lot either. If you're not familiar with that, that's not a lot of memory at the end of the day. So you need to keep that in mind. And this is really a game changer for the blockchain network and to be able to store information. Again, everything going on, It is 2023. A lot of businesses are moving their data to one type of blockchain or another. ICP canisters offers a much cheaper and more scalable solution for on-chain storage if that's what your company is looking for. If you're not familiar with what a canister is, it's ICP smart contract. So essentially it is limitless. It's interactive web and decentralized applications and bundles of WASM code and memory pages to store and execute apps on the internet computer. Just for reference, in the Ethereum's network, developers pay to deploy smart contracts. 1 gig costs about $5,000. People pay to use them. Internet computer. So uses a reverse gas model. And if you're not familiar with what a reverse gas model is only developers supply the funds needed to run applications that use their gas. And again, 1 gig here costs about $3 to $5 depending on the day and how busy the blockchain is. So again, it is much cheaper, much faster. It's just, again, it's not, I shouldn't say it's a newer project, but it's in competing with the likes of Ethereum and people who dominate the market already. Just so you're aware, ICP tokens can be traded and found on pretty much any centralized crypto exchange. The most popular to buy and trade is Deepcoin. Other popular options are BingX and Bidget. If you're not aware, the all-time high price is $700.65. This was May 10th, 2021, and its all-time low was $3.40, and this was December 19th, 2022. They have a market cap of really about 1.6 billion, a total supply of 497 million, a max supply of 469 million, and a circulating supply of 296 million. Right now, the market sentiment of ICP is pretty bullish.
Thank you very much, Colton. And what about some of the latest news and development regarding to ICP?
Yep. One of the things that they got noticed for is it stands out amongst other blockchain networks. It is growing as 2023 is, slowly pushing along. It's up nearly 50% in 2023. It's attracting attention from MyRed users in the industry, has considerable upside, and still feels largely unknown and misunderstood. And that's kind of what I want to harp on. A lot of people still don't know what ICP is, and a lot of people still don't understand what it is. But once they do, and once they understand Web3 really at the end of the day and true decentralized internet, I think it has the potential to really, really take off. Like I said, I think people are still too afraid. They don't think a new internet's going to, really be the new fad like it was back in the day with the current internet. But again, those people were wrong back then. Who's to say they're not going to be wrong this time? Again, it is a decentralized infrastructure. It is to host and support apps, website, and other digital services. Innovative architecture, as we talked earlier, the chain key mechanism, it is open source. It's so essentially, like I said, that SDK is huge. You don't need a developer. You don't need to pay for custom development. If you have a developer on your team, they'll look at the SDK and they'll integrate it to XYZ, dApps, however, whatever app you wanted to, websites, etc. And again, they have a new development platform. So these developers of these dApps and other different things on the website, they can build and host decentralized apps, websites, and other digital services, which then allows them, greater security, reliability, scalability. You don't have to use one specific programming language. They got JavaScript, Python, and Rust, just to name a few. Just so you guys know, in Q1, which we, still technically are in Q1, ICP's native token and market capitalization absolutely skyrocketed. So that is really, really cool to see. Strong 2022 with a very, very hot start in 2023. So you can't really ask for much more than that, especially in a crypto bear market and with everything going on, outside, the the war, the war is still going on in Russia and Ukraine. You got a lot of issues here in the U.S., with the banks, etc. So, it is cool to see, this token do very well in 2022 and continue in a hot start. It essentially, like I said, it's had a hot start. So it has maintained or increased several metrics. So the total network transactions is slightly down from December, but since January 1st, the price of ICP is up about 100%. Its market capitalization is up over 33%, and that's from CoinGecko directly. And the number of canisters and the number of internet identities, which is essentially users, has increased. So they recently had a major upgrade. So chain key Bitcoin equals a Bitcoin twin on ICP. So it's issued and redeemed via canister smart contracts controlled by the NNS and cryptographically secured one-to-one with real Bitcoin. So again, this allows for fast, low, tax-free Bitcoin on ICP with no intermediary. So DFINITY recently partnered with Fidelity to help guarantee products 100% made in Italy with QR codes to verify validity on the ICP blockchain.
Thank you very much, Colton. And what about staking ICP?
Yes, that's definitely a possibility, Leo. So you can stake ICP for sure. So it's a threshold relay consensus, heavily optimized version of the proof of stake consensus algorithm, more energy efficient than, a proof of work. So what you need to do is install the NNS system, which we talked about earlier, on your computer, and your staking rewards are from 15.4% per year for 6 months staking, up to about 29% per year for an 8-year staking. And as you can see at the bottom, this is, staking rewards APY per year, and it's, night and day compared to pretty much everyone else. Binance Smart Chain is pretty close. But as you can see, it's 15% to almost 29%, where, the next closest you're getting 12% at the end of the day. But, with staking, there's a lot, staking can cause some risks, right now with the centralized exchanges, as Boris has told you guys in the past, it is a little bit dangerous. With like Ethereum, for example, is it worth the extra 4%? Probably not. ICP, well, 15 to 30 or 15 to 29%, it could be worth it. But just again, keep that with a grain of salt. We don't know what's going to happen with all these centralized exchanges. There's a possibility of all of them, having the same problem as, FTX. We have no clue yet. So keep that in mind too as well. But you can always stake, if you have a hot or cold wallet too as well. You don't have to use a centralized exchange.
Thank you very much, Colton. And how do you see the price of ICP in the next few years?
Yeah, definitely, Leo. So I really do think it plays a big factor in how much the world adopts Web 3.0 and, a decentralized internet at the end of the day. I think that's really what's going to play a factor. But if it continues the way it's going, it's probably going to have, anywhere up to a 17x by 2030. And this is some research, we did, and Tech News Leader believes in 2024, it'll be about $11. In 2026, it'll be about $23. In 2028, it'll be at $50. And in 2030, it will be back up to $100, about $103. Digital coin price thinks in 2024, it'll be about $12. In 2026, it'll be about $24. And in 2028, it'll be about $29. And in 2030, it'll be about 55. I think this is the more conservative, growth out of all three of them. At the end of the day, again, I think that's probably more realistic because I think it's going to take some more time for people to fully understand and migrate to Web 3.0. I think that's just, like I said earlier, the the biggest thing is educating people and getting people to understand that a decentralized internet is really a good thing. But again, it's something that people have to get comfortable with and then move on from there. Price prediction, though, has them in 2024 at $12 as well. In 2026, they have them at $25. In 2028, they have them at $52. And then in 2030, they have them at $121. And again, I think price prediction is assuming that Web 3.0 takes off, things change. But at the end of the day, like I said, this really depends on how people perceive and how things move forward. But I really do think it has a good opportunity, especially, with everything going on here in the US with the banks. I think people are seeing that, a centralized way to store your money is not the best route to go right now. You're only covered $250,000 if anything happens. Yes, the government stepped in for the U.S. and helped these people out, but they're not going to do that every single time. I can tell you that right now. There's just not enough money circulating for them to do what they did for these people. Again, also these people in this bank, they were $1 million accounts, over $1 million accounts. So they knew that they had to make it right. Who's to say they're going to do that for a small mom and pop shop bank? I'm in Texas, so let's say, who says they're going to do that for a small bank in San Marcos with a small population? That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. I do think this really does have great potential, Leo, but it really has to be adopted by everybody before it can take off, because if it doesn't, there's only going to be a handful of people using Web 3.0, and the other, the rest of the world is still going to be using the current internet as it is now. So realistically, though, like I said, we could see a 17x by 2030, and that would be awesome. I mean, especially if you got in right now, it would make a huge difference. You would see a big return on your investment. But again, keep that stuff in mind. But from my side, Leo, that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you guys on another edition of Kryptonite. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colton. I truly agree with all your assessment, and thank you really for your presentation and explanation. Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody joining us at Kryptonite. All the best, and see you next time.
I hope this video helps. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, and if you like the video at the end, click on the thumbs up.